Alright guys, welcome back to Formula 1 news. Multiple news outlets are now reporting that Matteo Binotto has been fired by Ferrari and will not be their team principal for 2023, with the replacement already set in stone. Ferrari, however, have denied this account, saying it's all speculation and there will be no changes for the time being, but many new reasons are even emerging as to why this will and has even potentially been the case already. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Loads of new subs yesterday. Really appreciate it. Let's dive into things then. So yesterday we saw these rumours emerging and even many different outlets suggesting that potentially Vasseur, currently of Alfa Romeo, Andreas Seidel of McLaren, and Laura Mekies, who also is kind of their head racing guy at Ferrari, might be their potential team principal replacements. Matteo Binotto has his position become rather untenable after the season they've had. The Mercedes 1-2 seems to be the final nail in the coffin from, the best car on the grid at the start of the season to, having a 1-2 from Mercedes in front of you, finishing 3rd, 4th, and fighting for P2 in both the Constructors and Drivers' Championships, whereas they should be fighting for the championship. That's where his position is now being called into question. Now, earlier today, rumours circulating according to Gazzetta in Italy, they are, good reputation Italian newspaper, that Frederic Vasseur will be the man to take over and taking the new role in January, and Matteo Binotto will be replaced. Understandably, Ferrari don't want to say, yep, but Binotto's gone right before Abu Dhabi, when they've still got a fight on the line with Leclerc for P2 and also the Constructors' battle with Mercedes. But plenty of news outlets now saying this. It was all over the TV as well in Italy, suggesting that, Binotto's going to be gone. Ferrari, having got beaten by Mercedes comfortably in Brazil, who started the season like a second a lap behind them, it's obviously not a good look. Many strategy mistakes, reliability that compromised their season, and also disappointing Charles Leclerc, who they want to build around for the future. They don't want Leclerc to just leave to Mercedes when Hamilton retires, which still might be the case, but they don't want to lose him earlier than that if something crazy was to happen. So apparently Vasseur is going to take over, who's currently the head guy over at Sauber Alfa Romeo, and this has been all over the TV as well. So it seems like it's going to happen, and even Andreas Seidel was apparently in conversation as well. But in the end, Vasseur has been chosen supposedly, and just because they've apparently been talking to and looking at practically everyone all across motorsport, more than likely this indeed is the case. Now, there have been some reports that still Matteo Binotto will be at the track in Abu Dhabi. He's not just got fired immediately. And honestly, Binotto, I think, look, he's a great guy from a technical perspective. I'm just not sure he really had what it takes in terms of being a team principal, working with the media, dealing with the politics of Formula 1, and also making the difficult decisions. It was very clear this season their strategy team was not up to snuff. That's not necessarily Binotto's fault, but it's Binotto's responsibility to put the guys in charge that need to be in charge. Maybe not sacking a couple of the key figures, as we'll see here in a second, may have been his downfall, and probably understandably so. Maybe they feel like they need a team principal with, who's a bit more ballsy, let's just say, you could argue. And even Simone Resta supposedly is going to be returning. He's gone to Haas as their technical director. Apparently now he's going to be returning. So he worked at Ferrari for a long period of time. Then he went to Sauber with Vasseur, actually. Then he went to Haas in 2021. And now he might be returning in Ferrari colours. So another indication potentially that some serious staffing changes at Ferrari, and understandably so. Now the reports have been coming through that indeed Ferrari's president John Elkann has talked to Vasseur even last summer, and now that move is going to materialise. They probably gave Binotto one season with a good car, obviously, to see what would happen, and Binotto's value from a technical perspective, I'm sure, is pretty significant. But as I say, as a team principal, I'm not quite sure he was the guy that they needed, let's say. Now, will they keep Binotto on in another role, or will he, will he not be particularly accepting of just getting demoted from his position and going to another role at Ferrari? Maybe he wants to go elsewhere. Some comments here on Fred Vasseur before we look at Ferrari's response. Founded the ASM team in 1996, winning some championships in F3 alongside Lewis Hamilton, then formed the ART team with Nicholas Todt in 2004, again GP2, Rosberg and Hamilton, was Renault team principal in 2016, and has been at Sauber since 2017. Now it's Sauber Alfa Romeo, managing Charles Leclerc, of course, at the time. So not just Sauber drivers coming to Ferrari, but also potentially team principals. The move makes sense. There were other competent candidates as well, but Vasseur, a Frenchman in charge of Ferrari, has worked well in the past, may well work well again. And I think that there are a few changes away Ferrari from actually being a competitive outfit, and maybe Vasseur's the man to come through and straighten out the ship, because I'm not sure Binotto was quite that guy, and this is what people tend to believe on the Fanatics Ferrari news page here, that over 12,500 votes, 73% of people thinking this is probably the correct decision, but look, maybe getting rid of Binotto is the correct decision. Is Vasseur Vasseur the correct replacement? Did Binotto deserve another season in charge? Because even Ferrari management said themselves, like, yeah, this season we were intending to challenge and not necessarily win. Next year we're going to go one better, classic Ferrari next year TM type stuff. But maybe Binotto deserved one more year. You guys can debate in the comments section below. And even Binotto's been making some interesting statements recently, this being one of them. Next year will not be a battle between two teams. I do wonder if this comes back to haunt Ferrari to some degree, because his intention here is to say that Mercedes will be in the fight. And maybe Ferrari have squandered their chance, right? It was a two-way horse fight this year, right, between Red Bull and Ferrari. Mercedes weren't in the picture. Next year they probably will be, based on what we've seen in the last few races. And now have Ferrari wasted their chance to, take out a competitive outfit like Red Bull, with then potentially 3 teams competing next season, or maybe it still will be 2 and Ferrari won't be close. And even some further news from Gazzetta implying there was a face-to-face confrontation between Leclerc and Binotto for the management of that Silverstone race. I believe the image at the start of the video was this at Silverstone? I forget exactly, but I'm pretty sure it might have been, because obviously Leclerc wasn't best friends with the Ferrari strategy team after that one, leaving him out on those older hard tyres up against their fresh softs behind him after the late safety car. It was apparently resolved by a dinner in Monte Carlo, but still, Leclerc has over this season become understandably increasingly frustrated, and it kind of boiled over in Brazil with many of the words he had to say on the radio during that weekend. And even this I thought was quite the revelation coming out earlier today, that Ferrari has stopped the development of this year's car, not because they have just focused on next year. Binotto said this, right, for the last few weeks we've heard, Mercedes are catching up, but it's not a concern, we're focusing on next season, like we're not going to do much more to this year's car, that's why they're catching up. But clearly from a budget perspective, that's also been a problem for them, right? Because as is described in this article, the reason why they had to stop development and are at risk of losing P2 to Mercedes is because they couldn't bring new parts because they maxed out the budget cap already. So, how have they managed that? Even from a financial perspective, that is a surprise, because Mercedes has still brought parts up until the end of the season. They've probably managed their budget much better than Ferrari. So another idea as to why Binotto's position might not be particularly safe. And even this is the absolutely classic quote, I believe, after Hungary maybe, or whatever it was, when he said there's no reason why we can't win 10 races from now to the end of the season. And I'm sure many of us said at the time, I certainly did, that I can think of many reasons why Ferrari won't be winning 10 races in a row. Since then, they've lost all the last 9 races and probably aren't going to win in Abu Dhabi either. But there, of course, has been some responses to this. Firstly, from Ferrari, they were asked about this and they said there are rumours and speculations that we never comment on, and even Alfa Romeo have said no comment, so they aren't really saying much on this. Now, Ferrari, in a surprising move, really, they actually come up with a statement, and kind of weird because I feel like people know this is probably going to happen, but yet Ferrari are outright denying it. In relation to speculation in certain media regarding Scuderia Ferrari team principal Matteo Binotto's position, Ferrari states that these rumours are totally without foundation. So, quite the statement, really, pretty much emphatically denying any rumours that Binotto will be gone. Of course, they don't want any drama about this going into Abu Dhabi. It's also unfortunate timing for Ferrari because Matteo Binotto's got to turn up there in Abu Dhabi and listen to the media talk about how he's going to get fired. It's not ideal this has been leaked, and understandably Ferrari want to shut this down. But is this just another indication of something like this from Daniel Ricciardo when he said earlier this year, you know what, you've heard a lot about my future. There was rumours that Ricciardo was going to get binned off from McLaren, and he said, I'm committed to McLaren till the end of next year and I'm not walking away, which in fairness was true, but McLaren weren't committed to him. So I don't know, another classic Formula 1 thing where they say one thing but the reality might be rather different. But yeah, what do you guys think about this? Does this mean from Ferrari that Matteo Binotto is going to be safe, he's going to be their team principal? I don't think it means that at all. I reckon he is going to be gone. We've heard all the news outlets now reporting it. The question is this actually a good idea? Does it really help their competitiveness, right? Because look, we know Binotto's a good guy from a technical perspective and adds a lot in that sense. They built a great car this season, but as I say, from a strategic point of view and from a team perspective, it's not just strategy, but it's also all the drama that happens week on week with the Inters getting put on Charles Leclerc, with the weather forecast, with the decision done the safety cars. It's all an absolute mess at Ferrari, and they come up with a new way to screw up their race week after week. And it was clear from about halfway through the season that nothing had changed there, and clearly Ferrari had to do something about it. They haven't done, and now Matteo Binotto is going to be gone and is going to pay the price as a consequence. Giuliano De Chesser actually reckons pretty close to Ferrari that he reckons it would have been better though if he stayed in this winter and then 2023 eventually replace if Ferrari fail their objective to fight for the next championship, and he saw some arguments that he can stay. So we'll see what happens. Interesting few days ahead. And this is one of the key guys, right, that I know many people are talking about, Inaki Raida, who's effectively their chief strategy guy. He's the guy you see on the pit wall with the clown mask on and the clown makeup on when they make a strategy call that's wrong. And look, we've seen Binotto earlier this season say, our strategy team has no issues. The other teams make strategy mistakes, but, we make them as well. But, we get criticized and they don't, stuff like this. It's like, there's a reason why Ferrari get criticized for your strategic errors on a consistent basis. And this man might be one of the reasons, right? I think maybe Ferrari are thinking this guy should have been fired a long time ago. Binotto hadn't had the balls to do it, maybe, or didn't think it was the best thing to do. And then maybe Vasseur comes in, cleans house, and builds up that team from scratch again, which might be what is necessary to turn Scuderia Ferrari around. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.